You're very welcome to our bee barn. This is our workshop area. We have a small area here where we have some products from the hive that we sell. We have some honey, some cut comb, our christening candle for sale. We have our wax display here of our prize-winning wax and honey display that we've used over the years. We have here some frames from the hive for people to see. This is an observation hive that people can come and watch the bees behind the safety of the glass. It's early in the day and the bees are quiet. This is a lovely way for people to see bees safely, watch the hive working. As the day progresses, they'll be bringing in nectar and pollen. Okay, so here we have the supers of honey that have come in from the hive. So this is a nice frame, nicely capped. This is how you want your honey to look when it comes from the hive, capped with wax all the way out to the edges here. So there are a couple of different ways you can remove the wax from the frames of honey. This is one way. This is a wax capping removal knife. And I like to just cut down. This isn't a particularly fat frame of honey, but it's not too bad. So as we're going along, we're grading the wax. This is nice white wax. I like to grade the wax and keep the lovely white wax cappings separate. They're the ones we use for our beeswax candles. So I'm keeping the nice white ones separate on this side of the tank, and I have the yellower ones on the other side of the tank. This is a little bit time consuming, but it's very rewarding. It's been a great harvest this year. Plenty of honey coming in off hives. So we have the lovely white cappings. And I go to the other side. These bees have been very busy. Good work. Honey that's capped off like this is perfect for extracting. It has more than likely has a moisture content of probably 16 to 18%, which is what you want when you're extracting your honey. That way you know that it's going to keep. There's not going to be any going off in it. The honey then drains from those wax cappings and I collect it underneath. So there's your cap, your frame fully uncapped and honey dripping off it. They then go to the extractor. Here's one I did earlier. So in this extractor we have 9 frames. These frames are all uncapped and they're here in the extractor waiting for us to run them. So the 9 frames spin like this until the frames are dry. It takes a few minutes, and while you're doing that, you can be going ahead uncapping your next frames and getting ready for your next lot. This is our electric extractor. It holds 9 frames. It's good if you're doing a lot of hives, but if you're a smaller beekeeper and maybe you just have 1 hive, we have a little extractor. It's a manual one. And it holds 4 frames at a time. So this is very handy for the smaller beekeeper. So these ones just sit like so. And then when you have your 4 frames in, you have to use your manpower to twist it and get that honey out. So we'll go back to the electric one. So as the honey is spinning, we can be letting it through here and letting it sieve through. You can see it's slow to come out. It's nice and thick. That's a good sign with honey. We call it the viscosity, and it's a very good thing in honey. It means there's not much moisture content in it. So we're sieving it just to get out the main debris, maybe little bits of wax or maybe large bits of pollen, maybe some propolis. So we're just sieving it through to get those large pieces out. Before it's bottled for sale, it'll be sieved again through a lint cloth to remove any further debris that might be in it. Another thing I'm doing when I'm going along with my frames is I'm removing this propolis from the frames. It's a kind of a slow process, but I remove it and I save it for my friend who's an instrument maker. And we save it in this here little pot. So we've collected a nice little pot of propolis. It's very sticky, very difficult to work with, but we have a son who's an apprentice violin maker. He asked us to save it for him, and they use it for polishing off the instruments. People also use this propolis in like tinctures for health reasons. Mostly Eastern Europeans. A couple of Polish people have told me about using it. Some buckets of wax that I've been working on. We talked about earlier separating the wax. So this is a lovely white wax here from the hive. This has been cleaned. It'll be melted down and sieved through some absorbent lint to bring up a nice yellow wax. And that's what we're looking for our beeswax candles. We have some candles here that we made earlier in the year. This was a nice wedding candle. It's a dipped candle, and it's a nice candle. A beeswax candle, of course, has many good properties, good health properties for burning. This is our dipping station. Oh, I shouldn't be talking with my back turned. Where we dip our can. Brewing here, this one we added some cinnamon and oranges to just to flavour it. This is just a plain mead with honey and water in it, and we started this mead back in January. So it's brewing away, it's fermenting. We won't bottle it for a while yet. It's not quite ready. It's a little bit young yet, so we'll leave it fermenting for another while. It's another product from the hive. All collected, we store it in airtight buckets, in food grade buckets. This bucket holds about 30 pounds of honey, and we leave it aside in a cool room, and it's left there until it's ready for use. It will crystallize. It will naturally crystallize to protect itself, and this one may or may not have. So there's a bucket of honey that's crystallizing here, and it'll be left aside and heated in the heating cabinet for 48 hours whenever we're ready to jar it. So the jarring process then, your jars are cleaned and sterilized in advance. We use an 8-ounce jar here. The honey is from the heating cabinet. It goes to the settling tank and sits in the settling tank for a couple of days to let the air bubbles come to the top of it. We then jar up whatever we need for sale.